Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of Everybody Needs a Nudge. I've been slacking this whole year, but what episode is this, Root Beer?
5?
Episode 5, season 2. Very excited for today's guest, because today's guest actually I think has been mentioned on at least 3 episodes of this podcast. At least.
That is correct.
That is Matty Geraigery. Welcome aboard.
Thanks, Nudgy.
Yeah, so Matty Geraigery and I go back, 15, 20 years, through a bunch of iterations of our lives, through a bunch of different friends. So we'll get into Matty's life and how he ended up where he is now a restaurateur. That's his latest venture.
Yes, it is. I just have one question, just real quick. How did we come up with the nickname Root Beer?
Oh, why don't you? Do you want to explain it? Or do you want me to explain it?
You do such a great job at it.
So, with the whole premise behind the podcast is my nickname, right? Everybody needs a nudge, right?
All day.
And Root Beer actually had the idea. She said, you should have people in and you could talk about how they got where they were and what were the little nudges in their life, whether it was a coach or a parent or whatever it was. And by the way, some of them are negative pushes and some of them are positive pushes, right? So, well, I said everybody on the show has got to have a nickname, but her last name is Walshy. Or Walsh, and I was like, well, we can call you Walshy, or we can call you Root Beer, because A&W, Amy Walsh, A-W, it's unbelievable, right?
Genius.
Right?
So I was going to say, okay, are you a Root Beer fan, like Root Beer floats?
Yeah.
I mean, who isn't?
The horse's neck, you know, when you put the ice cream scoop in there. But Root Beer, A-W, love it.
So you remember those store, the A&W store?
All day.
Yeah. So,
was Root Beer one of your go-to sodas if you ever went down that road? I hate soda in general.
Yeah, no, I'm a Coke guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was Sprite. When Sierra Mist came on the scene, I was
out.
That was it.
Yeah.
And then I went water and then, health reasons.
I actually kind of went down the same path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was too sweet.
Sierra Mist.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Sprite was still there. You could have gone back to the Sprite.
Yeah, but I don't think they had the marketing dollars. And then when Sierra Mist came in, everyone forgot about Sprite.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm not a soda guy in general.
Yeah.
I unless it's like Sunday morning and I'm like,
Feeling
my tongue
wild.
feels like a boot and I need something just to keep going. But anyways.
So a couple things that are going on in my life. And a couple things I want to talk about is, first of all, we won Duxbury girls hockey won the state championship.
Congrats.
Yep. Went to the Garden. Root Beer was there.
Yes, I was.
It was exciting, wasn't it?
It was. It was fun.
And we'll talk a little bit about that. But I pick up quotes along the way as I go through life, and I've come to, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is. And one of the things that I've been struggling with lately is worry, right? Worrying. You a worry guy? Do you worry about things?
Yeah, I do. As you get older, I think the worry comes out more.
Yeah.
I think that comes with 40. I'm a firm believer that no decisions or anything should be made until you get to 40.
Yeah.
Stub your toe along the way. Don't make any life decisions in your 20s and 30s. Learn from them. But I think the clock should start at 40. Now, I'm going to be 50 in June, which is a whole other segment.
Yeah. How you feeling about that?
That's a worry. 1,000%. But no, I think I worry more because as the kids get older, and like I shared with you, Nudgy, before, my daughter's 17, my son's 15, and I know what I did.
Yeah.
At 15,
yeah.
And then when I got to 17 and all that. The worry there is more from a personal level, not so much the professional level.
Got it.
And that's where I'm at.
So I heard two great quotes. I don't know where I picked up this one, but I like this one because it really sort of emphasizes worry, right? Worry is paying taxes on something you may never own. So think about that. Worry is paying taxes on something you may never own, because it takes up time, it takes up space in your brain, it takes up your health, it takes up, right? You're worried something might happen down the road. Why are you worried about it? It might not even happen.
I agree.
Right? And then the other one that I really like, I just saw this one the other day, and this is from the Dalai Lama. Okay, this is getting deep over here. Everybody needs a nudge, just got deep. And I really like this one. It says, if it can be solved, there's no need to worry. And if it can't be solved, then worry is of no use.
Ooh.
Think about it. If you can fix it, why are you worried about it?
Right.
And if it can't be fixed, why are you worried about it?
Right.
It is what it is.
Well, that's how we were potty trained, and that's how we're wired. You know, it's hard to put in. I mean, look, I wish I could think like that.
Right.
But I worry about everything. My brain is always 10 minutes ahead, and I worry about the stupidest thing.
Okay, so how many of those stupid things that you worry about actually happen?
0.
So what are we talking about here?
I don't know. But the word worry.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You worry about the word worry.
Yeah.
You're worried that you're worried.
All day. It keeps me up at night. And then you take your phone at 2:30 thinking that it's going to calm you down.
No, it goes the other way.
Oh,
Oh, my God.
1,000%. Now you
spike.
look and it's 5 o'clock and you're 3 episodes into Yellowstone.
That's so sort of staying with the quotes. You know, if you were listening, Matty, you know that sometimes I come in here and we got a little gym in the back. I didn't show you, but we got a little gym in the back, and there's a what do I get on the elliptical, Rupia?
The elliptical.
Yeah, I like to get on the elliptical, but it's got like it's got a screen, and you can go on walks with people. And if you want to take a walk with a pretty girl on the beach, you can take a walk with a pretty girl on the beach. But I like to go places. Like like today I went to Venice this morning, and I was walking around Venice, and I'll get into that. But the guy's message, and I like to hear about the city. This guy was telling me all about his self-help and like how he gets through a day. So I didn't really like the guy. I don't think I'd go for a walk with him again. I don't know that him and I are friends necessarily, right? I don't know that I'm going over his house on Thanksgiving. But he did say something that was great, and I loved his message. He was talking about how when he was growing up, he always wanted to be great. He always wanted to be great at something. Whatever it was, he wanted to be great. And he said as he got older, kind of to what you were saying, Matty, as he got older, he realized that a whole bunch of good adds up to great, right? So if you do a whole bunch of good stuff, down the line, you're going to end up with a great life. And that was his message, right? I thought it was a great message. Do you agree?
I do. I think
That was a prompt for you to talk. Like,
no, it's fine. No, I'm with you. You know, I think exactly that. You know, you don't realize how much good you do.
Yeah.
Or you surround yourself with good people, and then you become better.
Yep.
And then better equates to great.
That's it.
And I think that's huge.
So I'll take a look back at this most recent state championship season that we had with the Duxbury High girls, and sort of as you're going through the season, you do a whole bunch of little good things, right? Whatever it is, win a bunch of games, you have an effect on community. We rallied around some tragedy that Duxbury had around the girl Lainey Ladd, who was a young six-year-old that passed away, and sort of rallied around that. And so there was a whole bunch of like small little good things that we did all the way through, and we played great on the ice. But all those little things, all those little good things added up to a great season, right? So when you look back, you're like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. So I loved the guy's message that like, hey, just because you're not great at something doesn't mean you can't have a great life as long as you're doing good things along the way. I love that message. Rupia?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's a
And
good message, right?
Sometimes people that do great things aren't necessarily good.
So that was the other thing that he said. He said the people that are great at one thing usually suck at everything else.
Right.
Because they're so uber focused on that one thing. Right?
Agreed.
Whether it's golf or tennis or hockey or business, right? You hear about all these business guys that make all this money and they're like miserable human beings and nobody wants to be around them.
Right.
What good is that?
None.
That drives me nuts when you see people that make that much money and they're miserable.
Miserable.
You give me their money, I'll show you great.
Would you
I'll
though?
show-
Hold on
one-
a second.
1,000%.
It completely changes who you are.
No.
No?
I think the worry subsides. I tell you right now, if I had their money, that cell phone would be in the ocean.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd be the happiest person every morning. Every day would feel like a new day. I wouldn't worry about things because I think a lot of people get blinded, from the worries because of
Financial worries. Yeah, sure. And I always say, like, if these guys that whether they work at Bank of America, these high ups, right, the CEOs that are pulling down $100 million a year, 1 year, I'm done. I'm out. I'll work 1 year
1,000%.
and I'm done. I don't need to have $400 million. Right?
I say that daily.
Yeah.
I say that.
And now
daily.
you're just trying to fucking sell some burgers. Pardon my language. bleep that out.
No, and I was wondering about the swearing.
Yeah,
because
no
you know
swearing.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I have a truck driver
Yeah.
mouth sometimes,
Well-
and I get going and they slide out, but thank you for
So
that.
there's two things we don't promote. Well, we don't really talk about anything that's going to be controversial here. We don't talk about religion. We don't talk about politics.
Agreed.
We stay away from all that nonsense.
I agree.
And then, we don't promote any underage partying.
Yeah.
Right. So we stay away from that, and we try not to swear. But every once in a while, one slips out.
Okay, if one slips out, we'll be fine. That's a win.
So yeah. So the one little thing I will tell you about Venice that I didn't know that I learned this morning is, did you know that Venice is made up of 100 islands
Did not.
and there's
No.
400 bridges in the city? Who are you texting right now? You're on a podcast. It's videoing.
Oh, it's videoing? I thought it was just microphones and
No,
all that.
no.
All right, I'm sorry. I'll put the phone. All right, root beer. Edit that, please. Okay, I'll put it down.
Amazing.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. I thought the camera was just for the snapshot of when I hand you some swag at the end.
No, we'll do that
All right.
outside underneath the crowd lending sign.
Oh, yeah, right. All right, I'm sorry.
So
Adderall's on back order.
I heard that.
The world has come to the end with that because I'm on it,
Yeah.
which is no secret. And I went to get my script refill, and the lady at the counter says, "Oh, by the way, this isn't going to be ready till mid-April." I go, "Have we met?" I go, "What do you mean?" I mean, I understand supply chain issues and all that stuff. You go to Target, it looks like they didn't pay their tab, so no
Right, it's
vendors are
amazing.
coming in. When they said Adderall is on back order, I was like, "This is banana land."
So what happens to? So you don't have it for 2 weeks,
I haven't had it for over a month.
and you just struggle through.
Oh, oh.
The struggle is real.
Oh, you should see Janet at the house. She's like, we're going to need separate rooms. Yeah, it's like that commercial. This is your brain on drugs.
Yeah,
Any
yeah.
questions?
Yeah.
It's like, this is your brain not on Adderall.
Yeah.
Without drugs.
I apologize, kids, but
Yeah.
I'm going to have 10 conversations and we're not going to finish one. Yeah, 100%. It's bananas. But that's when you know we're in trouble.
I'm going to have 10 conversations, and we're not going to finish one.
No, not at all. Not at all. My brain is already on Monday.
It's amazing.
Yep. Let's go. Carry on.
I heard that this morning that the medicine is back ordered.
It's just the weirdest thing. I mean, obviously with the COVID, not going down that whole thing, but it's just that we haven't even caught up from those 2 years.
Yeah.
And I really think it's because, where these things are manufactured, whether it's overseas or whatever, we don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
Right? Are they working? We know what's going on here. People are saying, the reset, or I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm going to be on LinkedIn. I just decided I'm going to leave my job after 15 years. All right, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Where you going?
Yeah, where are you going? And then what are you going to do when all of a sudden the bills stop piling up?
Yeah.
But we don't know what's going on overseas. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Especially with product. Like I just tried getting Chloe a size 6.5 cleat for lacrosse, and they're like, out of stock, don't know when. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
before-
By the way, aren't you stocking the 5 through 8s? I mean, isn't that your wheelhouse?
that is,
Right.
yeah. I'm not looking for a size 16.
Right.
5.5.
Right. I mean, that's your money shot, right?
That is where you're like, what color?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
right.
right on.
We have them in 9 colors.
yeah. It's like, okay, we're going to fight now because you don't know if it matches your headband that day. All right, we'll buy 3. I had one set of cleats growing up. It was
For every sport.
For every sport. And then I duct taped the ones that started flapping. Or my mother would be like, oh, you got brand new cleats because I just got you brand new laces.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but my toe is like this now. It's like, but now it's like, okay.
They look just like my old ones. No, they don't.
Yeah. It's like Brock. He's like, oh, I need new cleats. I'm like, for what sport?
Yeah.
Just wear the same one.
Yeah,
it's
you
not
can't.
like it's a heavier weight or the spike. Now, baseball, I get it. When we were growing up, you had the metal spikes,
Yeah.
and then everyone was like, oh, it's cutting legs when you're sliding in, so we'll go to the rubber and all that. But now it's like, all right, well, I got soccer coming up, so I need soccer cleats. Then I got lacrosse, I got football, I got baseball, and all that. I'm like, this is insane.
And they're all pretty much being played on that same AstroTurf field anyway, so why do you need a new cleat?
Well, you guys have AstroTurf in Kingston at Silver Lake. We're still playing on grass and potholes.
Okay. All right.
Oh, that's a whole other topic with our thing. It's like people come off the bus and like, we're playing on that. I'm like, yeah, sorry. I apologize.
Talk about home field advantage.
Yeah, but we don't even know how to play on it because they didn't set the blades low enough to cut it in time. Yeah, it's awful.
Oh, my goodness. So the last sort of thing I'll touch on is my favorite Instagram account, and I pump these guys I hope I'm getting some credit for Doc Talk.
I love them.
So have you
know
seen
them.
this? Oh my God.
No, my
Maddie?
people I follow is a whole
Matty,
different
I'm
thing.
telling you right now, Doc Talk. DOCK, like a dock, like a boat dock.
Thank you.
Tick, like a tick, TOK, like TikTok. Doc Talk. And it's like these 4 guys and they rotate in and they just tell horrendous dad jokes and try to get the other guy to laugh.
Okay.
It is out of this world funny.
So dad jokes.
Yeah, dad jokes. So I'll
Okay.
give you, I wrote a couple down. Why is dark spelled with a K?
Don't know.
Because you can't see in the dark.
Oh, gross. By the way, as crazy as I am, I hate jokes. I think jokes are invented in prison.
Why?
Because they have so much time on their hands, they come up with jokes and then they send them out. I don't.
take.
I don't.
Hot
get
take. All comedy comes from jail.
1,000%. They got too much time on their hands, and they just say, "All right, guys, you're gonna cut wood, you're gonna make license plates, and you guys are gonna figure out
Yeah,
jokes."
you guys are the joke guys.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't get it, but I will check that out. But there
Yeah.
are some funny things on Instagram that I watch, like you know those single guys, those comedians that like. There's one guy I'm following. I can't think of his name, but he'll be like, the guy that shows up late for his tea time.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like the guy in the scramble. Like, I don't know, man. I think you got to pull your weight. This kid is hilarious.
Yeah. There's a lot of good funny golf ones.
Oh, they crack me up. Like there's one guy like breaking 100.
Yeah.
It was like, and they after his round, he goes to the press box and he's got the sponsor. He's like, "Yeah, on number 5, you were laying 7," and it's just absolutely hilarious.
But that's golf comedy. Not a lot of people can't appreciate that.
No one can play like you. So
Well, not a lot of people can. So my speaking of Paul McRae, he's calling me right now. My last dad joke, and then we'll get into Matty Gregory and his life.
A lot of edits.
So my next dad joke is I haven't talked to my wife in 7 years. I didn't want to interrupt her.
Ba-dum-bum.
It's so bad, but they're hysterical. You can't help but laugh. Like that's a funny, witty joke.
They are.
That's witty.
Yeah.
Right? I haven't talked to my wife in 7 years. I didn't want to interrupt it. You got to think about it. Then you're like, oh, that's funny because she's been talking for 7 years. We can all appreciate that. I think in your house it might be different though. I think you might be the.
We don't talk in our house. We yell.
Yeah.
That's why I'm hoarse all the time. We just yell, "Pass the plate! I mean, get off your phone! Your room, you have a garbage pail in your room, and you got like Sunny D empties like it's a college dorm in here." We yell. We don't talk.
All right. Let's get into Matty G here.
All right.
Where did you grow up?
Brockton, Mass.
Brothers, sisters, mother, father?
Awesome. Yep. I had 2 brothers, an older brother, Mark, graduated in 89. I was 91. And then my brother, Michael, was 93.
All out of Brockton High?
All out of Brockton High. And then my mom, we lived, my parents were divorced. We were like probably one of the first families to get divorced back in the 70s.
Back when divorce was like.
Back when divorce was.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, Mr. and Mrs. Gregory.
They got a divorce.
Yeah, what happened?
May God strike them dead as they walk down the street.
It's when you had a house phone and call waiting was just coming in.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing.
Remember call waiting?
Oh, it was awesome.
It's unbelievable.
It's like, yeah, don't click over. So we lived we lived in Brockton. My dad lived in Easton for, still there in his house.
Yeah.
30 plus years.
Both parents still alive?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. They're friends. Everything's great. I obviously I have the 2 kids.
But hold on before we get there.
I apologize.
So you go Brockton public schools all the way through?
All the way through.
You playing sports as a kid?
We played sports all the way through. All my brothers, we all played sports all the way through.
What sports?
We were big in we were a huge basketball family.
Really?
Yep. And then my younger brother was the star in football, but basketball probably because of the price point.
Well, that's what. So that's
was growing up,
and that's that's a nudge, right? That you went and played basketball because
100%.
You needed sneakers.
Yep.
And a ball.
And every Christmas you had a brand new ball until the thing started flapping and all that.
Yeah.
So basketball in our neighborhood, besides backyard sports, like I always tell everyone, I was a 5-star athlete in backyards. If there was backyard Olympics, I'd probably have more medals than anyone.
Than Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
Yep. And because he
wiffle ball.
Oh, I mean, everyone was like, "Hey, where'd you summer?" Oh, in Brewer's backyard. And I'm like, yeah. Or like when you played street hockey,
Yeah.
you would throw all your sticks in and you knew which one.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you'd go left, right, left, right. Same with basketball. Same with everything. Huge. You played from sun up to sundown. When the lights came on, you had to come in for dinner. All that.
But now that's completely different now.
Now it's in your bedroom with the door locked, watching other people around the world making videos, and then you're trying to mimic them. And I think that's where this whole society has gone bad. But we played a lot of
Hot take.
We played a lot of outdoor sports. But basketball was huge in the Geraigery household. Like I said, my brother. But we played, town baseball. The only thing we didn't play, and I think it was my father was like, we're not going to rinks at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
We had AZF skating rink, and we would do the free skate and pond skate. Once again with kids.
Yeah, that's
know
back
that
at.
stuff.
Yeah, they don't know that stuff.
Yeah, that's what we did. So we never bussed. We were walkers because we were centrally located. So we walked to elementary, we walked to the junior high, and then we went to high school, and then on to college, obviously.
Now, did you did you have any coaches growing up that sort of stick in your head to this day that either pushed you positively or negatively in one direction?
Yeah, my dad. My dad was heavily involved with being a coach like we are for our kids. He was awesome because you had to learn really quick that you're the coach's son, but you got to work harder.
Yeah.
Mr. Gibson. He was one of our coaches too.
Was he a basketball coach?
He was a basketball coach. That was my primary sport. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, you built just like a basketball player.
Yeah,
it looks like you ate the basketball.
I did. That's not nice.
I know. I'm sorry, but it was too ezy. Low hanging fruit.
It's just, how do you like it? High and inside? Or no. So that was big. But there was a lot of coaches. Mr. Fitzgibbons. He was at the junior high when we played soccer. The baseball and basketball. Mr. Foraker. All those guys. Those guys were great because it was old school back then. Because you got to remember something, and it's probably a hot take. That's the thing is, back then coaches coached, right?
Yeah.
Parents didn't even know if you tried out. When you made the roster, it was posted out while he was in there smoking a butt with the doors closed. The roster was posted on the outside.
He's not lying.
So my son right now had the best thing. He made a comment the other day about when the lacrosse teams were made. But then once you looked down and saw your name, fist pump, go home.
Yeah.
Over supper, something out of the crock pot or whatever it was, hamburger helper for the 4th time that week. You talked about it like, hey, I made the team.
Right. I'm on the team.
You rode your bike to practices. You rode your bike to game. If you were lucky enough to get on the bus, it was awesome when you wore the tie. You stole one out of your things. But no parents were so heavily involved then or trying to be the decision makers or the influencers. It was coaches coach, players played, refs ref, the whole thing on the Instagram when they did that. That's where the whole thing has come off the rails now with what we're experiencing. But that's what we did. And it was awesome because, I think the teams were tighter because there was less parents involved.
Yeah.
You had more fun playing those sports. You weren't stressed out. It wasn't like, there was only one AAU team that we tried out. I remember in basketball, myself and my neighbor, we had to go up to Beverly to try out for this one team.
Yep.
Only 15 kids made it. 150 kids trying out.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you didn't make it, when you came home and said you didn't make it, the first thing your parents said, well, all right, what'd you do wrong?
Right.
Okay, well, get back outside.
Well,
then.
that's the biggest change, right? That I see and I've been coaching now for better part of 12 years or 10 years. Is that what you just said? It's not about how can you be better? Why didn't you make the team? It's, well, that coach obviously doesn't see your talent, so we're going to go to another program, or we're going to go complain to that coach, or we're going to make a phone call, right? I had a call the other day from a friend his daughter's graduating, and the next class coming up, they pick the captains. The sport is irrelevant. The school is irrelevant. And one of the girls didn't get named captain.
Mm-hmm.
And he called me. He's like, hey, I'm looking for the advice of a coach, and how would you play this? What do you think? And my message after some back and forth was essentially, look, that parent can go complain and maybe get her kid named captain, his or her kid named captain, but that's going to taint all of next year. Or the parent says to the kid, hey, just because you don't have an A or a C on your shirt doesn't mean you can't be a leader. You're still a senior. You still have certain responsibilities to the underclassmen. everything doesn't go your way all the time. Sorry, life's not fair. How are you going to react to this? And that's a great learning opportunity for that kid.
What bothers me is a couple of things with the whole youth sports and even high school sports. Where we grew up, best players played.
That's it.
It wasn't even the name on the back. And then we also knew the percentages. Like 1% made D1.
Right.
1% or 0.5% went on and went pros.
Right.
Now it's like, the coach's kid is either the quarterback, the center, the point guard. Yeah. It's like, all right, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But everyone thinks, and it's usually the parents, I don't think, that played sports, how they behave in the stands. You can almost tell he's living vicariously through his kid right now because he never played sports. Because if I acted like that, my father would come onto the field and be like, we're done here.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We're done. Apologize to your coach. Number one, you're grounded.
Yeah.
And we're never playing this sport again.
Right.
Now it's like you're rewarding bad behavior. Or if you stink when you tried out, all right, I'm going to start the Division 4 team so my son or daughter can get the uniform with their name back because we don't want to leave no one behind.
Right.
And we're going to start a team. And then you're at the U or, shout out to the U.
Yeah, shout out this week's sponsor, the U, Hanover. For all your indoor basketball and lacrosse and whatever else needs. Yeah. Plus, they have an incredible arcade and go-karts, so the U.
And now they serve beer and wine, too.
Beer and wine.
Yeah, at ground level. But here's the deal with that. When you've played a sport to your ability and you were good at it, right? Now you go to some of these travel teams and you're like, oh my God, he can't even dribble or, take a slap shot or whatever it is. It's like you as a parent should be like, okay, I don't think this is our sport. So we're going to cross that off the refrigerator.
Right.
Look,
and we're going to go find another.
I'm a huge fan. Until you get to the middle school age, try everything.
Yeah.
And I even think in freshman sports too. Don't make any cuts if they have a freshman team because you never know if Johnny or Jill will grow into that or they have they didn't realize that they have a natural ability to play that.
Right.
There are some sports that you can pick up later in life. Yep. I think it's usually baseball or football or that.
Field hockey.
Field hockey. My daughter played field hockey freshman, sophomore year because we wanted to get her involved in something in the off season from lacrosse. But the biggest thing, it's what are you doing trying out for lacrosse right now or hockey, which is your bread and butter? It's you're going to embarrass your kid.
Well,
and not only that, he's going to get so discouraged and he's going to...
No confidence.
There's zero.
No one... Yeah.
So that's just where it is. So not to get off topic and all that stuff, but it's so banana land right now with youth sports and all that. I always said it from zero, from when you can start and get on the, K-Lat, I'm just using Kingston, you get out to Pottlefield, you try everything, play everything, you get into the U6, the U8, the U12, whatever. Now as a parent, you should be like, all right, you really want to go back out there? Because look, our garage looks like Dick's Sporting Good. You haven't picked up the thing that I bought you in about 18 months. Right. And now now all of a sudden you're going to be pissed because you didn't make the team or you stink.
Yeah.
As parents, you should be just, you want to guide, you want to encourage and all that, but you also have to have that sit down talk and be like, no bueno.
Yeah.
I don't think that's good. So
you go through high school.
Yep, and then I went up to college.
Where'd you go to college?
Well, I prepped at Massasoit.
Okay. Is that what we're calling it now?
We called it 13th grade in Brockton. And then when you couldn't find parking, you told your mom you did good in, intro to marketing, but you couldn't find parking. You're like, I'm out of here. I'm going home. I'm not walking 3 miles to get to that class and be sweating like, Mike Tyson on Final Jeopardy. You know what I mean? But so I went to Massasoit.
So you go there for a year.
I went there for a year.
You had to.
I had to get. We always say it in my neighborhood because my dad in my next door neighbor, who's one of my best friends in the world, his father, they were at the Edison. Yep. Brockton Edison, then went to Eastern Edison, then went to National Grid.
Okay.
I'm convinced everyone in our neighborhood, if you didn't have that nepotism, we probably would have went right into the power company.
Okay.
1,000%. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And we didn't have those sit down. We weren't doing college tours in 1990 or 88. It was like, I'm going outside. 14 of us are getting in a car because Johnny has the only car down the street. Right. We're going to just drive around.
We're going to do our thing.
So unfortunately, I didn't have that. So, and I wasn't a good student. I always said, and I still say this to the day, I'm a 4.0 in life and on the street, and I was a 1.8 with the books.
So combine your, right.
You do the thing.
You're like a
5.8. I'm a 2.930 and all that.
That's what,
Or 2.7. Okay. So so I did that. Took the classes and all that. My brother and my cousin were up in North Adams State College, which was ranked number 5 in Playboy back in the day as the number 5 party school out of the top 10.
Wow.
It was like
who knew?
It was like my brother. So we took.
That was a rhetorical question that got answered.
Yeah, 1,000.
That's hanging out with Matty G, right?
I don't even know what rhetorical means, and I can't use my phone to Google that. But the biggest thing was it was North Adams. The town revolved around the students.
Yep.
And when it was like you dumped 3,500 kids from Dorchester, Charlestown, Southie, Hyde Park, Brock, wherever.
Yeah.
And you dumped them into this valley that no one even knew. And because the Patriots stunk and everyone, you almost became a New York Giants fan.
Right.
And you saw the Knicks game, the Knicks or the Yankees and all that stuff.
Right. Because of where you're located.
That
was on TV.
We were blacked out. We were blacked out in that. So it was like they dumped these kids out and say, okay, see you at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Or see you at that. Now make sure you come home and you're going back up.
Right. That's the key.
And you didn't realize your ears popped going up the Mohawk Trail and then you come down the hairpin turn and you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
I don't know this, and my ears popped, and now my allergies are going nuts, and people smell like patchouli oil, and wearing these things called Birkenstocks. So that's where I ended up for.
And you went there because of your brother.
I did.
So there's a nudge.
Yeah,
there's the next
there's
nudge.
A nudge. So my brother first got into URI, and he went there long enough for coffee, and he was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
So then he got into he transferred to North Adams State College. I was a senior in high school. I loved it up there. My cousin went up there. He played baseball for them. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to kick ass at Massasoit so I can get my grades up, transfer up there. And then I'm a firm believer you meet your lifelong friends.
Yeah.
In college. I mean, a little thing is, my roommate from college and still my best friend, he was godfather for Brock. He was my best man in my wedding, was Magoo, who's a rear admiral for Spittin' Chicklets, the number 1 podcast for hockey.
Number 2 podcast behind this one.
Yeah, behind this one. And then it was number 3 when I had mine for 5 episodes. So I'm convinced you meet your lifelong friends.
Yeah.
You still have your childhood friends, you have your high school friends, but I think the college ones that you really boil down and you still keep in touch with 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
You go up there and you have hundreds of friends.
Yeah.
And then the first 5 years post-college, everyone's still meeting in town.
Yeah, doing the thing, still
Jose
tearing it out. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bell in hand, you got the Green Dragon. Then all of a sudden you boil it down, and then all of a sudden life gets busy and fast. And then you keep in touch with the 4 or 5, and I'm still convinced that that's where your life.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And then your neighbors.
Yeah, and then that's the next sort of stage of your life, right?
Yep.
So now you leave North Adams State and get into what profession at that point?
So at that profession with Kristen Daly,
Yeah.
who was Kristen Taylor at the time, I did an internship at Putnam Investments.
Yeah, and she talked about this on the podcast.
Yeah.
She was on the podcast.
She's one of my very, very lifelong friends, and to her credit, and I'm not just saying this, she's a huge success story, no pun on success real estate, but she is a huge person that
started at zero and
built it herself.
Yep.
And that's something to be said for, and kudos to her. And she knows how, I love her, and her husband Danny's a great guy. I went to their wedding and all that. So I did an internship at Putnam Investments, a little nudge.
Yeah.
My brother out of college.
See, he's getting it now. See, he's getting it.
So my brother went to Putnam Investments. I came out of college with earrings and long hair, and I fell into the Birkenstocks.
We need a picture. Do you have any pictures of that you can send us?
No, those ones are in the vault.
Okay, all right.
Because I was not a handsome man with long hair, and I was never a thin man. So put 2 and 2
oh,
together.
Man, I would love to see that photo.
Yeah, I was like Jonah Hill with long hair. So, so he gave me the nudge, and he was like, "All right, Matty, it's time. The Sweet Pickles Volkswagen bus is out.
Yeah.
It's time to now
get a real job.
Get a real job. Cut your hair, lose the earrings. Putnam's hiring. Went into Putnam for a couple of years. But I will say this, and you mentioned like what coach gave you, this and that was a positive thing and all that stuff. But there was one teacher, okay, Stephen Grant, phenomenal guy. had the cigarettes in the breast
Was
pocket
it a short sleeve?
all day.
Okay, I
all
love
day.
it. Short
He was
sleeve button down.
He was my professor in economics
At North Adams State.
North Adams State. In him and Professor Yano and Betty Kendall were my three awesome. If I could still do lunch with them once a year, I
would.
absolutely would.
Why don't you reach out?
Yeah,
I ain't got time for that.
Yeah, I don't have time for that.
I ain't got time for that.
Yeah. So Stephen Grant, during the last week of college,
Would they know who you are?
I think Stephen Grant would. They would know Matty Geraigery because my last name is spelled like yours.
Crazy,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
It's kooky. I never know how to spell it.
You start at the GE and you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
just. But it's good when telemarketers call you or collectors back in the day. But yeah, no, he's not here, and it's you. Yeah. So he told me point blank. He goes, Matty, I'm going to tell you, you are very good outside of the classroom. And he goes, I'm going to give you one bit of advice. If you get stuck in cubicle university and you do your career at a desk in a cubicle, then I had you wrong.
Yeah.
And I looked at him. I go, he goes, you don't belong behind a cubicle.
Yeah, staring at a screen.
You're going to go there to die.
Yeah.
And your talents of what I've seen in the classroom outside of the tests and all
Sure,
that
of
stuff
course.
with the blue books. And
Yeah.
you had the one that was slid in.
Yeah. We all know the tricks.
Yeah. It was awesome. Make sure you don't wrinkle it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me that thing pristine. He said to me, he goes, you got to be out and about, and people they'll gravitate towards you, and you'll be more successful in a sales type role and all that. So when I went to Putnam, Kristen was there. We had a lot.
I'm sure you had a blast.
Oh, we had a blast. It was,
But you hated the work.
It was 0 to 3 years out of college, and everyone was still like, okay, we graduated from keg beer to now bottled beer
Sure.
and all that. I was like, I got to get out of here now. And in the back of my head, I was like, Dr. Grant said this. He goes, if you, this isn't for me. I can't sit still. I need the weighted band, the lap band and all that stuff to sit still. And I think I lasted 8 months there or a year. And I was like, no bueno.
Yeah.
This is not me. And I told my brother, I go, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I can't do this. And it was funny. And then what I did was I had a friend there that told me about the Boston Stock Exchange. And I didn't realize, I always thought New York Stock Exchange. I didn't know there was a secondary market
Sure.
to trade and all that stuff. So I said, all right, well, what I did was I don't even think Google was.
No, there was no Google.
No,
You had to
I
look
think
it
I had
up
to
in
go
the newspaper.
Yeah, I was like, oh, right there. They're looking for. So I was a runner. Yeah. So I was a runner for a couple of years. So I cut my teeth and got into the financial services through the Boston Stock Exchange, Fidelity Investments.
Okay.
As a trader, I had a huge mentor in Rob Petroselli. They called him Rico.
Yeah.
Because of the baseball player. He lives in Norwell. Great guy. He's still.
I think he's a Hanover guy.
Nope. He was a Melrose guy.
Okay.
And then he lives in Norwell.
All right. There was a Petroselli family from Hanover, but
Yep.
so this is another nudge for you.
Right. So he has become still to this day one of my biggest mentors in my professional life.
Nice.
And I've known all, he's got like 58 kids. I've gone through like the whole, I've known them all that stuff. And he was my mentor still to this day. I worked for him for about 7 or 8 years. And then all of a sudden technology got really strong.
Yeah.
I was allergic to change. I didn't think technology would automate you out of a gig. And then that went down because now everything went into a black box. And then they basically told the traders, we don't need you anymore.
And you were one of those guys.
And I was one of those guys. And what pisses me off a little bit was I wish I was non-allergic to change, that I welcomed it, because I was getting so many offers to go into these software companies at the time, which would have been huge bank because it would have been groundbreaking.
Right.
And I was like, they're never going to.
Yeah, they're not going to make it.
So that computer, no way Jose is going to get a guy out of here. And I'm like, F.
Right.
Like, ugh. And then all of a sudden time goes by, and then college graduates are now getting those gigs. So it was, and then, 06, 08, the world came down to an end because of everything. And then it was like, damn it. And that's what I was bummed out about. But no, but I also am a firm believer in if you aren't willing to change or take risks or reinvent yourself, is the word I was looking for.
Yep.
Then you get lost.
Oh, the world passes you by.
You have to keep, and I kept reinventing myself in different sectors.
And so I did that as well. I did it first within the confines of the legal profession, right? I was an assistant attorney, then I did criminal defense, then I did OUI defense, and then where we finally hooked up was on the real estate side when you came into my office through Kristen Daly
Got an idea.
with the Brockton Group.
Yep. So stepping back, obviously our paths crossed from a mutual friend, Luke.
Yeah, Luke Howarth, who's also been on the podcast.
Yep.
Everybody loves
Uncle
Luke.
Fester.
Uncle Fester now, I know. Poor Lukey. We love you, Luke.
No, huge fan. I love him too. He always calls me. He goes, I need cheering up. He goes, tell me what's chapping your ass right now. I'm like, I don't understand when the light turns green and they're already beeping. I'm not the one late. So I always lift him up when he's having a bad day because he knows I'll go
He
on
was just in here. He was in here 2 days ago.
I'll go on a rant. But we met through that, and then the Brockton Group came when the housing market came, which was as much as and you mentioned it briefly on your podcast. Too many cooks in the kitchen, which is fine. We also had too much noise of this is how you're supposed to do it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this much. As much as that did not succeed.
Well, I don't know that it didn't succeed.
No. But I think what it was, Nudge, was it got me into a mindset like, I like this.
Yeah.
And there is money to be made, but there's also other tentacles that could grow off it and get into certain things and all that. So, so that's where we met.
Yeah,
with
so the backstory,
and
and we've told this before, but the backstory on the Brockton Group was 5 of your buddies, you and 4 buddies from Brockton that wanted to get into house flipping.
Yeah.
And some people were all in. Matty Bissett was all in, and then some people were still working at the grocery store, and it didn't work out.
Nope, and it didn't. And we're still lifelong friends, and it was one of those things. And
I was going to ask that if you were still buddies.
Oh my God! Oh yeah,
Brewer was one of them, right?
Yeah, he's one of my. I mean, he's my best friend. We talk every day. Text every. Well, it's now text every day because it cuts out the fat.
Yeah.
You want to make sure. Okay, is everyone still alive? Anyone passed away? Any wakes coming up this week? No. Okay, but we did that, and I'm glad for the guys that didn't leave their full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Because they're doing very well for themselves.
Good.
They're crushing it because they rode the wave and all that. Obviously, Matty Bissett's still in the construction area, but with me, from an entrepreneurial mindset, I still have that flame of risk. And really going more and more. And but so that was the positive out of that. And then obviously, with all the different regulations that came on, and then the inventory kind of
shrunk,
vaporized a little bit.
Yep.
And we won't get on the political rant, but that was one of those things where it was like, okay, I like that.
Yeah.
But so now what do I got to do next?
So what did you do next?
So I got into the insurance world.
And how did that happen?
It was just by networking and people knowing, hey, Matty, I think you would be good at this, or what do you think of this? We got an opening over here. So I got into bagging and dragging it, doing some wholesaling with the annuities.
Bagging and dragging. What the heck is that?
Bag and drag your luggage through airports and stuff like that. You bag and drag. It's it's a little.
Well, you like travel? What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, travel. You travel. It's a sales.
That's a sales lingo.
It's a sales lingo. Like, I gotta.
I'm bagging, dragging
my luggage down to Florida. I don't like, whatever. Let's not go down that thing. But I know how you get. You'll be like, I never heard that. I don't like it. And then 2 weeks later, I'll be like, bag and drag, and there'll be a meme that you send me.
He's so right. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, accurate. So I got into the insurance world and all that stuff. I dipped my toes into brokering jets for a while for very wealthy people. I really loved that.
Yeah.
There was a ton of money to be made in there. But once again, I was trapped behind a desk, and I was like, eh.
Yeah, you're attached to your phone in that business, like really badly.
Yeah, and you're at the mercy of people that have FU money.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that the plane didn't leave because the check engine light came on and you got 5 kids in the back too. Safety first?
Yeah.
Or sorry that you can't get to the Grand Caymans for your tea time at 12 o'clock. I'm like, this is bananas.
Yeah.
7 days
and
a
they're
week.
calling.
Oh, and not only are they calling, they're yelling.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I don't need this in my life. And then, so my wife, Janet, she was, she was crushing it, traveling all over the world with work in the medical device industry, and the kids were smaller. So not so much of a backseat, but it was like, all right, my next move is going to be somewhere closer to
local, so I can keep an eye on things.
You don't have to be in Boston to make money.
Yeah.
And that's when the world started branching out, saying you could, there's other opportunities in your backyard. you shouldn't have to cut through 3 backyards to go see something. So a mutual friend, we were watching our kids playing sports, and he said, look, I need a director of sales and marketing and all this stuff for a restoration company in the insurance world. So I was like, huh? What's restoration, and what is this, and am I going to be in aware? Like, I'll never forget it. He goes, I want you to stop by my company. And I knew he was very, very successful, and he was very good at what he does, but I thought he just banged hammers and nails.
Sure.
And I'm like, I don't, that's not my.
I feel like I'm going backwards here a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I don't know anything about this. And I see his logos on his trucks, and I see his box trucks everywhere, but I thought it was open the bay and everyone's sitting there on 5-gallon buckets and wondering, okay, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking to myself, all right, what kind of sales and marketing is this? So he's like, look, I'm going to pick you up on Saturday, and I want you to see one of my jobs that are going on. I'm like, all right, what? I'm like, all right, yeah, pick me up around 10:30, 11.
Yeah.
Saturday morning.
Right.
I'm going, start at lunch and see where
we'll go from there.
Yeah. yeah. There's going to be a steak and cheese in there around midnight to 2 in the morning. So I'm like, yeah, 10 a.m. He goes, yeah, I'll see you at 6 a.m. I'm like, yeah, no, I'll see you at 10 a.m. It's Saturday.
Yeah.
6 a.m., my phone's blowing up, and he's like, where are you? I'm in your driveway.
Really? I love it.
I'm like,
what a nudge.
I'm like, Jan's like, who is that? And she knew him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he really wasn't kidding about 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm like, Visine.
Right.
I'm like,
drag yourself out of bed.
I'm like, so.
Check the breath.
Yeah. I'm like,
brush your teeth twice. Once upstairs, one downstairs.
Oh, yeah. And you still had the cap that dropped a deuce in your mouth in the middle of the night. So I go to his job site, and we meet the client, and we go up in the attic, ton of mold. He had water damage, all this other stuff. And then the owner started asking me questions on how would you handle this? And then I was like, this, and this, and this. And he goes, all right. He goes, you're my guy. And I said, okay. So for about 6 years, we grew the company together. It was a multi-million-dollar company. And in the insurance world, there are construction people that specialize in putting the houses back together after damage. Yeah. Water, fire, flood, vehicle strikes, tree strikes, and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, I think I like this.
Okay.
And I remember but take 2 steps back, though. He was a very hands-off owner, but he knew what you were doing, but he didn't have time to teach you what to do. So I went in Monday. By Friday, I call my older brother.
Yeah.
Mentor, best friend, the nut. He's been my
one of your nudges all along.
All along.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mark, I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm wasting this guy's money.
Yeah.
And I go, he tells me we have a meeting at 1, and then this and that, and now it's 2. He hasn't come in. I don't even know what I'm doing here. I don't know nothing about this industry. He goes, do what you do best. Pick up the phone and just start dialing it. So I was like, hey, XYZ told me to give you a call. I just joined him. Hey, do you want to grab a
bite to eat?
Bite to eat? Yeah.
And
all of a sudden, because I was giving myself to that Friday, being like, okay, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off, and this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I'm at the age where I gotta drop anchor somewhere.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, he brings me into his office like Friday at 4, and he goes, all right, what did you do this week? And I'm like, I go, well, Monday I got breakfast with this guy. I got lunch here. I got dinner here. I'm taking this guy to the Bruins because I heard we had Bruins season tickets. Where are those? Right. This and that. And I had 2 weeks out for meetings. And then every Tuesday morning, he would have these things. We'd have a roundtable discussion with the whole company. He ran it like a Fortune 500 company. I mean, it was something special to see. And he wrote me a note, because every Tuesday morning he had these cards that you wanted to thank someone for their business or whatever, and everyone would put $1 scratch ticket in it, kind of like real estate agents.
Sure, yeah.
That don't even remember that they mailed it to you.
Right.
And no one wins either.
Never.
Yeah, it's more of that like flaky stuff. It's like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
And he wrote to me, he goes, you're going to crush it in this industry. And I still have that card with me.
Wow.
And I rode that wave for 6 years. And then my biggest client, Jeff Sabel, who did a claim for your brother, from a public justice side, COVID was just about to hit. And his wife, who's a very good friend of mine, Darcy, she chirped in Jeff's ear and all that stuff. And we went for a walk in his neighborhood, and COVID, the world shut down. Everyone thought the sky was falling, but it was just right before. And he goes, "Hey, where are you at, and what do you think?" So the good news here was all my jobs I ever had outside of when the stock market vaporized from the trading aspect of it was, oh yeah, Louis over there, he makes $500,000. This guy, well, yeah. And then when you're caught in the moment, like, all right, I'm going to be like Louis. Yeah. Well, you didn't realize Louis got all those accounts when everyone quit 2 weeks into their job, and then he took their hard work of pounding the phones, and now they became his. He got grandfathered in, and it's like, all right, well, that's why Louis makes all the money, because he has all the best accounts, and no one else wants anything. So I knew where we were getting business from him. And where we grew it over the 6 years of him and I being, I was his number one guy and he was our number one guy. Yeah. So I was like, all right, there's something there. Yeah. So I know it. I taste it. I knew it was very transparent. Yeah. And then I was like, I don't know, man, this and that. And he goes, and I knew the world. And I'm like, so I went home, thought about it. And then
thought about what? There's your ADD right there. You never got to what you were thinking about. You working with him?
No, yeah. When he offered me to come join his company.
Okay, so leave the guy that you were with for 6 years.
Yeah, leave the guy who I was with for 6 years, which I was making very good money. Yep. It was easy. I got it to the point where it was a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, it was easy.
It was easy. Yep. Set it and forget it.
Yep.
But then I was like, all right, I know this side of the world, but there's going to be, do I still have that?
But you felt like you were capped out at that job?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. It was this is this, and then that was that. Yeah. And I was like, all right, where's my earnings potential? What do I got to do? And I knew everything, but I was talking to myself in my head. And the minute I went back home, talked to, my family, the next day I was like, yeah, let's do this. This is a no-brainer. Yeah. I still had the hunt in me. Yeah. Rise and grind.
So how long ago was this?
Oh, over 3 years.
Okay.
I had the rise and grind still in me. I had the hunting mentality in me. I knew who all the players were in the industry.
Yeah. So same industry.
Same industry.
Competitor?
We have multiple competitors. Okay. We're a small boutique public adjuster firm, but we do the same amount of volume as all the big players that are around Massachusetts. We just keep it very lean. Yeah. You don't need the office cooler talk. Right. You don't need the high payroll. You don't,
believe me, I know.
You don't. Yeah. Sorry.
I know
Rupert.
all about it.
Sorry, Rupert. Yeah.
Look around. Take a look around.
I mean, you got a beautiful campus, but no, we have an office.
Campus.
We have an office down in downtown Plymouth, right near the East Bay Grill. Yeah. Shout out.
Shout out to the East Bay Grill.
Yeah, thanks for your
also a sponsor.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I love
The red light's blinking over there. They're just ringing off the hawk. Get sales guy in here to start booking these people. But no, so it was just one of those things where I knew all the players. I knew I was going to be very good at it. It was just going to be a learning curve because now you had to know the policies. Yeah. You have homeowners that you're seeing at their worst time. 90% of people in the world, their biggest asset is their house. That's their retirement
plan.
That's
their number one.
Once you pay that mortgage off, whatever that house is worth is going right in your pocket, minus Uncle Sam's juice.
Yeah, and the realtors.
The 3. Don't even get me started. No, I'm joking.
So, they earn it.
No, 1,000%. So that's when it was, and then 3 years felt like 3 minutes, and I am never going anywhere. I love absolutely what I do, but then a star was born. Then all of a sudden, exactly right down the street from you.
So let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah,
so as
and I think I called you on it too.
You did. We were going to lend on it, but you ended up needing it, which was great because I didn't want to. You didn't want to take our money; it was too expensive. But I
didn't want you breathing down my neck.
I would have been fine. I just would have asked for free drinks when I was in there. Yeah. So for 9 years. Right, 6 at the first place, and now 3 or 2 before you get into your next adventure, which we'll talk about. Yeah. I don't want to say the entrepreneurial spirit was sort of subdued, but you were working, you were an employee.
Yeah.
I mean, now the second go around here, you've obviously got a little bit more. You're a little higher up on the food chain, but it seems like in listening to you talk, sort of the nudge that made you make the move to the new place was the fact that you were capped out at the old place.
Yeah, that was a capped out because the earnings potential on this one is just sky's the limit, and I've seen it. And I'm not an employee of Jeff. We work together.
Yeah, which is a big difference.
When everyone and to tip my hat to Jeff, he's one of my best friends in the world. Jeff when I meet people for the first time, or they know me, or oh yeah, you're working for Jeff now. No, Jeff's like, no, we work together.
Work together. Yeah,
and there's something to be said for Jeff. I mean, Jeff started this brand, and I could have done this on my own, or I could do it on my own. His brand is phenomenal.
Yeah.
His reputation in the insurance industry is second to none. This kid is on a different planet with his brand and how he does it and how he treats people. So whenever we get introduced, it's, we work together.
Yeah, I love that.
And there's something to be said for it.
No,
because his name is on everything.
Well, it's just a small little word too.
It's just awesome, and it's good to work with someone that you've known, but also there's no ego.
Yeah.
Right. So where we are, to keep you in mind, it's still almost an entrepreneurial job. Like you have to network. You have to. It's you.
It's got a lot of entrepreneurial feel to it.
Yeah. So when we all of a sudden, a very, very good friend of mine who I went to college with, Eric Daigle, he was a general manager down at East Bay Grill.
Yep.
He's got 23 plus years in the food industry. His mother was always in the food industry and all that. Approached you. He approached myself. He approached Jeff.
Okay.
And he approached his Uncle John.
Okay.
Fantastic people. But what I loved about it was, it's not like four buddies that grew up together and said, hey, I think we should own a bar.
Yeah.
And then the first fight, or when the first month is due, and you have no connections. I mean, what I've learned just in a couple of months is there's a lot to go into it. There's a lot of vendors.
So
just
to back up, because so everybody understands, you're opening a restaurant.
Yep, we're opening a restaurant. So
in Duxbury,
100%
at a restaurant, at a location that was, dare I say, iconic in Duxbury, historic, called the Milepost. Now, for those that don't know Duxbury, up until probably 10 years ago, there were 2 restaurants in Duxbury.
And no fast food chains except for one Dunkin' Donuts.
One Dunkin' Donuts. So there was the Milepost.
Correct.
Which is on Tremont Street. It was kind of right off exit 10. And then the Sun Tavern, which is one exit up at exit 11. And that was it.
100%.
Now, since then, they got the Anchor, the Oysterman, Chestnut Street Grill,
Island
Creek, Windsor House has turned. That was the third. So there were really 3, and they were all tired, sort of old restaurants.
Well, it was a set it and forget it, right? It was all those things were well-oiled machines.
But all of the, you walked in there and it was like walking into somebody's house in the 1700s.
Or your grandmother's basement or attic.
That's right. So you took over. You took over the Milepost. You bought the Milepost.
Yes, we did.
And you're starting a restaurant called the BlueFish River Tavern.
Named after the BlueFish River Bridge where all the kids jump off.
Okay, so I was going to ask that.
Okay,
I was going to ask that.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate it. No, I'm glad you volunteered it.
Yep.
So it's named after the Bluefish River in Duxbury.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And it's with the guy from East Bay Grill.
Correct.
And you got a couple other business partners.
Yep.
And what is the restaurant? What's it going to be? What kind of food? What kind of vibe? You showed me some pictures today. It looks unbelievable.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. It's 5 minutes from my house. It's going to become my spot.
Yes.
What kind of food am I getting there?
So it's an American family affair.
Okay.
Right? It's going to be everything that's really cranking right now in the restaurant industry. Right. You got the bowls. We're going to have a lot of gluten-free options, but it's going to be, it's going to be everything that you want to go in there. And like, as you know, the number one thing is consistency. You don't need an encyclopedia like the Cheesecake Factory of what you're going to get. It's going to be a very simple menu. The vibe is going to be, just like if you went to the Lobster Trap or if you went to No Man's.
Yeah. Now, No Man's is the place in
Martha's No Man's
Vineyard.
is Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, that's the one. So I was talking about you last night. I had a men's league hockey game, and someone was saying, I was sitting with my buddy Josh Berman, who lives in Duxbury, and I'm like, oh, I know the owner that's going in there, and he's like, well, what's the vibe? And I'm like, there's a restaurant in Edgartown that they're kind of modeling this thing after, and that's.
Yeah, it's not so much. It's just going to be all the hip in the up-to-date restaurants in the area.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be just a family affair.
I love it.
It's going to be a place where you don't, there's a lot of great restaurants right now on the South Shore cranking.
Yeah.
And it's going to have that where you're not afraid to bring your kids in there, have a couple of cocktails, have consistent good food, whether it's a bowl or, a flatbread pizza, the burger, the baskets, the wings, the nachos and all that stuff. But it's going to be good. And the vibe in there is going to be, you're going to have the TVs, you're going to have the music in the background. Everything is what you learn in this nudge is, as you know, is everything is pending approval.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to put a patio out on the front.
Yeah.
Of the thing, and then
pending approval.
And Bucks and pending approval. We're going to bump out a little bit.
Pending approval.
We're going to go up.
Pending approval.
You nailed it. So once those permits, shout out to the Duxbury Town Hall and all the.
We love you.
Yeah, thank you. We have swag for you. That's all pending approval, but that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Look at the milepost is a staple.
Yep.
You got that church right down the street. Yep. That pours in on Sundays and all that stuff. You have a lot of people in Duxbury where they went as a kid. They went there with their grandparents. They went there with their parents. Now they're moving back into the town and they're becoming the adult with their kids. And that's what we want to bring.
I love it.
It's gonna fresh coat of paint. It's gonna be a killer vibe in there. And the good news is when you partner up with someone like Eric he has that vision.
Yeah.
He knows what's going to stick. He knows what the people are calling for. He's a listener, but he also delivers.
Yeah.
And that is going to be pretty cool.
So when it gets operational, how involved are you going to be on the day-to-day at the restaurant stuff?
So,
not at all.
Not at all, because we want to leave it to the subject matter experts, right?
Yeah.
You always want to surround yourself with the people that are going to make it happen. So Eric is going to be 100%. He's going to be the face. He's going to be the guy that you know.
Shake hands. Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Babies, how you doing? Eric, what's going on, pal? How you doing? How's Matty doing? He's doing great. He'll be in here probably in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm more going to be almost like, Captain Steuben or whatever. I'm going to be shaking hands, kissing babies, and people know that I'm involved.
Yeah.
Because I'm a networker.
Yeah, no, you'll be good at it.
That my job is to let people know that I'm involved.
Yeah.
And get asses in the seats, but also know that we're all fully vested in this.
Yeah.
And we want it to succeed.
Well, I can tell you right now that I'll be pumping it because I'll say, I know the owner down there.
100%.
Right? I know, owner's a great guy. Go down and support a local business.
Yep. And you're gonna have those waves in there, right? You're gonna have the people that have always been there. They're gonna be there from say 2 to 6.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna, then all of a sudden it's almost like you gotta, get the Zamboni out, and now we're gonna get the 7 to 9s and then the 10s. But we want everyone that comes in there to feel like they're part of it. They're safe. It's consistent, good food. And every time you go there, you get the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, the chairs, everyone knows your name and all that stuff. But we just want people to know that if you want to bring in Johnny or Sally with you and all that, that's great. Because if we get a fire pit out there, we're going to have s'mores packages. Ooh. So then the kids can go out there and do the s'mores while mom and dad are in there having one or two, a final.
Yeah. That's the seller.
And that's the thing. But it's going to be very family oriented. And I think it's just going to be exactly what that side of Duxbury is calling for. But then you're close to the highway, so you'll have Kingston, you'll have some Marsh Vegas in there, and it's a stop.
Yeah,
you want it to be a stop, whether you're coming home from the golf course or going home from the beach or going to the beach.
Yeah,
whatever it's going to be that's what I want.
Yeah, no, I think the town is looking forward to it. I know I'm looking forward to it. I'm pumped you're involved. I really appreciate you coming in here today and telling your story. I think it's a great story. And it's sort of what this podcast is all about, all the little nudges that kind of got you to where you are. And I wish you the most success with this restaurant. And I'll be in there looking for the first drink.
So the what's real quick for all our listeners when this podcast drops is when I just tripped on your podcast.
Yeah.
And then when I saw it, I texted you right away. And we had, world goes fast, right?
Yep.
Your head's down in your kids, and then you look up and it's like, holy shit, how did we get to 2023? When I used to see Nudgy at Frankie D's or, when we used to, here and there, or we'd just send a text out just to make sure there was a pulse still out there.
Yeah, sure.
But it's a true testament to you, brother, when I don't need to talk to you every day, once a month, once a year, or whatever. I mean, we had a gap where I knew what you were doing. You probably knew what I was doing and all that stuff.
We checked in through various
sources. Right? But when you dropped your podcast, I texted him right away, Root Beer, and I said, when are you having me on? Like, I invited myself to the seat. because that's who I am. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm getting in that
I'm
camp.
not leaving. I'm not leaving. So, and that was good. And then obviously, hey, how you doing? And I'm a big fan on seeing who's alive still and all that, whether it's on the social media outlets. Obviously, you've grown this thing into an unbelievable success story, which is great. But I always knew that. But I also knew, by looking at it or keeping in touch with everyone. But it's great that not only this podcast, but where we're going to be in the restaurant, that we will still bump into each other and all that.
I'm looking forward to it.
I really do appreciate you let me sit down and chewing your ear off, or
tell the story, telling
the story. But it's awesome. But no, now we've reconnected.
Anybody that goes into the bar and mentions everybody needs a nudge gets a free drink.
Yep. Or hey, Matty G told me to come here because then Daigle's going to be like, oh, I owe you one.
Yeah.
Like that's my favorite line. Like, hey, can you do me a favor? Yeah. All right, I owe you, brother. Yeah. And Daigle will always say to me, he's like, how many people do you owe, and how much do you think that's worth? I go, more money than I can write on a check. But you know what? A favor is a favor. And one thing that you said, is my father always said this, is a favor has no expiration date on it. So when you do a favor for someone, you do it with, maybe it will never be returned, but when you do a favor for someone, you should never be afraid to call that person up to cash in that favor.
Yeah.
And a true friend when they say, yep, I'll get that done.
Yeah.
And Nudgy, that's something to you, pal, is I've called you when I've needed a favor and all that, and you've always delivered, and it's something to be said for, man.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for coming on, Root Beer. Another great show. To everybody out there, if anybody needs anything, if you need a favor
or a meal,
give me a call. Everybody needs a nudge.
Right,
See you, Matty. Thank you very much, bud.
Much love.